Have you ever woken up in the morning, stared at the ceiling and thought, I know I need to make a change, but why can't I get started? You're not lazy. You're not bad. You're just waiting for something that may never come. The thing you thought would save you, motivation, inspiration, a burst of energy, is actually what's keeping you trapped. And today, I'm going to tell you a story about a journey with no inspiration. No magic. Just one thing. Action. Even if you don't want to. We grow up in a society that celebrates inspiration. Wait until you feel inspired to write. Wait until you feel better, then go to the gym. It takes motivation to change your life. But the truth is, if I kept waiting for inspiration to strike, I would never have done anything. And maybe you too. Because inspiration isn't something that comes along and pulls you up. It's something that comes after you've started, after you've taken those first steps of weariness and doubt. Action creates inspiration, not the other way around. And if you keep waiting, you will wait forever. I used to think I was undisciplined. I procrastinated on everything, my work, my plans, my most important dreams. But the more I dug deeper, the more I realized, procrastination wasn't because I was lazy. I'm scared. Fear of starting and failing. Afraid of being laughed at. Afraid that if I try my best and still am not good enough, it will destroy the confident image I try to maintain. Procrastination, it turns out, was a cover. It kept me from facing the truth. But there was a huge price to pay for it. I failed in my silence. Are you going through the same thing? Have you ever realized that you don't need anyone to beat you, because you are beating yourself by doing nothing? I got to a point where everything inside me wanted to give up. I was tired of waiting for good feelings to do the right thing. So I did something strange. I commit to taking action every day for 30 days, whether I feel like it or not. No grandiose goals. No fancy vision boards. No motivational mantra. Only one small action every day. A promise to myself. Even if I don't feel like it today, I will still do it. On the first day, I wrote only 3 sentences in my notebook. On the second day, I cleaned up my work corner. On the third day, I turned off my phone for 2 hours. Nothing too big, but the amazing thing was, I started to feel in control of my life. I'm not saying this journey has been easy. There have been days when I've sat in front of my computer for hours, unable to write a single line. There have been mornings when I just wanted to pull the covers over my head and disappear from the world. But every day I choose to do, even the smallest thing, I am rebuilding my faith in myself. I am no longer a will-do person. I am a doing person. And you can too. So if today you are feeling uninspired, unenergized, with nothing to start with, I ask you this. Are you willing to start, even when you don't feel like it? Just one little thing. One thing you've been putting off. No need to be perfect. No need to be in a mood. Just start. Because sometimes, great journeys don't start with excitement. They start out tired, skeptical, but committed. And if you agree to join me on the 30-day uninspired journey, then start today. One action. No waiting. No excuses. Welcome to the uninspired version, but with real power. Have you ever sat down with a long to-do list, knowing every goal you have to achieve, and yet still done nothing? You might spend the whole morning thinking about getting started, But by the afternoon you're exhausted from not having done anything. It's not because you're lazy. And it's not because you don't have dreams. The truth is, you procrastinate because you're afraid. Not everyone who procrastinates lacks willpower. Most of us have the drive, the ideals, but we don't have a clear support system to get us started. We know what we need to do, but we don't know where to start. And when we don't have a clear roadmap, our minds start telling us dangerous things like, wait, not today, or wait until everything is perfect. And you believe it. You're convinced by your own mind. You procrastinate not because you don't want to change, but because you're afraid of failing when you try. Afraid that if you start and don't get results, it will prove you're not good enough. So you choose the less painful option, not starting. But procrastination isn't always obvious. It's not just about lying in bed all day. Sometimes it takes on a very productive appearance, but it doesn't help you move forward at all. For example, you start cleaning your house obsessively, thinking, I need a clean space to work. Or you put on a self-help video with the justification, it's not too late to watch some more information before you take action. And then, you do nothing. You plan perfectly, draw charts, color in, buy highlighters, open a time management app, but never take action. These actions make you feel like you're setting yourself up for success, when in reality you're just postponing it. And if you find yourself in any of these situations, don't beat yourself up too much. The human mind is designed to protect us from risk. But the sad thing is, that protection can sometimes be the biggest barrier to living a fulfilling life. Instead of waiting until you feel inspired, you need a different strategy. Act first, and the feeling will come later. It's not feel inspired then act, but do to create inspiration. That's a crucial reversal in how we think about motivation. The first day you start something, you may only accomplish 10% of your goal. It may sound like a small amount, but that 10% is what ignites the whole action engine inside you. One small thing done creates psychological momentum, a positive chain reaction that leads to other things. You start to feel, oh, I can do this, and then you do another 10%. Gradually, you don't have to fight the urge to start. A new habit forms. The internal energy comes from within, not from the outside, not from an inspirational video, but from within yourself, from the experience of taking action when you don't feel like it. Think of yourself as a car sitting still. The longer you sit there thinking, the colder it gets. But if you move a little, the wheels start turning, momentum builds, and then you can roll. Even if you don't feel ready at first, you don't have to wait for the light. You just turn on the switch. And the magic is, that switch isn't outside of you. It's in the smallest action you're willing to take today. Nothing idealistic, nothing grandiose, just a simple step. So if you're procrastinating today, don't ask, when will I feel inspired? Ask, what can I start right now? No matter how small. Because the difference between a doer and a procrastinator isn't a feeling, it's a decision. And you absolutely can choose. You don't have to do everything. You just have to start one thing. Right now. How many times have you felt energized at night, written down a bunch of goals for tomorrow, and then woke up the next morning? All you wanted to do was turn off the alarm and crawl back into bed? Don't worry, you're not alone. That's because you're relying on your emotions to initiate change. And emotions, as you know, are unreliable. They rise, fall, and disappear without a trace when you need them most. Instead of relying on a whim, you need to build a system, a process you can rely on. No matter what mood you're in. That means you don't wait until you feel ready to start. You create fixed points in your day. Writing at 6 a.m. Walking at 5 p.m. Meditating for 5 minutes before bed. These times aren't negotiable. They're like guideposts, keeping you on track when your mind wants to wander. Imagine your life as a boat in the middle of the ocean. If you don't have a mast and a compass, you will drift on every wave of emotions. But if you have a system, you will not drift anywhere. You will row straight through the rough seas. And don't worry if you can't do much at first. That's why we need micro-habits, actions so small that it's almost impossible to find an excuse not to do them. Instead of writing a chapter, write 3 lines. Instead of exercising for an hour, exercise for 5 minutes. These may seem small, even insignificant, but these small steps are the catalysts for big change. There is a rule called 2 minutes. It says, if something can be done in less than 2 minutes, do it now. You will be surprised at the positive effects it brings. Small tasks, right pointing arrow, feeling of accomplishment, right pointing arrow, increased motivation, right pointing arrow, easier next action. Little things add up to big things. It is a really effective formula for those who always feel stagnant because their goals are too big or because they do not have enough energy. And most importantly, you have to redefine your own definition of success. In the past, you may have thought that success was when you completed a big project, when you were inspired, when you did something great. But if you keep that definition, you will forever be imprisoned by unrealistic expectations. Now, the new definition of success is, I did it, even when I didn't want to. An action completed in fatigue, in lack of inspiration, is sometimes many times more valuable than a great thing done in a momentary excitement. You are building a new identity for yourself, not as the one who lives by inspiration, but as the one who acts regardless of emotion. It is a form of freedom that very few people actually achieve, because most of us are still tied to our moods. Think about it. If you only act when you feel like it, are you really in control of your life? Or is it your emotions that are in control? Starting today, ask yourself every time you feel like procrastinating, am I waiting for emotion, or am I waiting for a miracle? And then replace that question with a small action. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to feel amazing. Just do it, because change doesn't come from one inspiring afternoon. It comes from hundreds of mornings of doing what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like it. And every day you keep that commitment, you move closer to becoming the strongest, most empowered version of yourself. You don't have to be the best. You just have to be someone who doesn't give up. And people like that, I don't need inspiration. They need discipline. You can absolutely be that person, starting today. There are days when it feels like the world is against you. Day 5 of your transformation journey and you wake up with no motivation. The reasons you started seem distant. Day 11 and you look at what you're doing and wonder, is this even worth it? Then on day 18, the self-doubt sets in, stronger than ever. You wonder if you're lying to yourself. Maybe you're not good enough. That what you're trying to do is meaningless. That's not surprising. That's the nature of real change. Fighting an old habit, an old self. It's a challenging internal battle. And in that battle, there's one of the biggest enemies you'll ever face: your own internal resistance. No one is motivated every day. No one wakes up every morning energized, ready to pounce on their goals. The truth is, the people you admire, the determined, the persistent, the successful, they have bad days too. But they do something different. They still take action. So what is the secret? It's a strategy called minimum action. Instead of trying to do a lot, commit to a small action. One so simple that you can't find an excuse to say no. For example, if you can't write a page today, write just one line. If you can't exercise for 30 minutes, stand up and walk 30 steps around the house. Sounds funny, right? But in fact, it's those minimal actions that have the biggest impact. Why? Because it helps you keep your commitment to yourself, which is more important than the amount of work you complete. We often overestimate perfection, but underestimate consistency. True power doesn't come from one big burst of action on a beautiful day, but from not giving up, even if it's just one small step every day. And then there's another, deeper lesson I want to share. Stop arguing with your emotions. We're taught to do things with passion, with excitement, but let's be honest, if you have to wait until you feel like it, you'll never do it. You don't need to feel excited to start. You just need to know it's time. Don't ask, do I feel like doing it? Ask, is it time yet? Don't negotiate with your mood. Don't let your emotions dictate your actions. This isn't just a time management skill. It's emotional discipline, a form of mental strength that very few people can master. And if you can do it, you're training yourself to have an inner strength that can overcome both procrastination and self-doubt. Think of this as a mental workout. Every time you act against your will, you are lifting weights in your willpower. Every time you do something you have been avoiding, you are strengthening your mental immune system. So if today is your 5th, 11th, or 18th day of resistance, remember, you don't have to win the whole battle. You just have to get through today. By doing the smallest action you can't help but do. Write a line, fold a shirt, close an app, take a sip of water. Small things, but you do them, even if no one sees. Even if there is no applause, you are becoming a different person. No need to be perfect. Just be consistent. No inspiration needed. Just on time. That's how you overcome resistance. That's how you don't give up on your worst days. And that's how you become the strong version of yourself you've always wanted to be. You don't have to do much. You just have to not stop. Here's what I want you to imagine. 30 days have passed. And you're no longer the person who struggled with procrastination. You no longer wake up feeling like you haven't started. You no longer have to argue with yourself to take action. Instead, you do what you have to do, consistently, simply, almost instinctively. And the amazing thing is, you do it without inspiration. You've been on a 30-day journey, and what you've gotten back isn't flashy numbers or external accolades. The greatest gift you've gotten is the silent transformation within. Your habits have changed, and with them, your entire belief system, the way you approach each day. At first, you might have thought inspiration was enough. But the past 30 days have proven one thing. It's consistency that creates real power. You no longer need to be in a good mood to get started. You don't need sunshine, good music, or strong coffee to write a line. You act, not because you feel like it, but because you know it's what you do. Every day, rain or shine, tired or strong, and it is that regularity that creates what we call inner strength. It's a quiet, but steady energy, no fanfare, no need for validation, just you, yourself, every day, facing procrastination, overcoming resistance, and repeating what needs to be done. It's not a short-term high. It's deeper. It's about believing in yourself. You begin to understand that emotions are fickle. Some days they feel easy. Other days you just want to disappear. But instead of being swept away like you used to, you stand firm. You are no longer a victim of your emotions. You are in control. When your actions are no longer based on emotion, you take control of your life. You are no longer stuck in the "I have to wait for inspiration" state, but enter the "I am the one who creates movement" state. And something interesting happens when you get here. You start to feel proud. Not proud that you're better than anyone else, but a quiet, deep pride, looking back at the journey you've taken, day by day, step by step, without giving up. You start to recognize yourself, celebrate the smallest improvements. Maybe you reward yourself with a quiet coffee date, a phone-free walk, a note that says, "I did what I said I would do." But the important thing is, you don't reward yourself by allowing yourself to let go tomorrow. You don't fall into the trap of thinking, "I did well today, so tomorrow I can rest." Because you understand, the joy is not in the immediate result, but in the fact that you are moving forward, without anyone pushing you. You no longer need external motivation, because you are now a doer, a version of yourself for whom inspiration is an added bonus, not a requirement. And that's what I want you to take away from this 30-day journey of no inspiration. You can act without a reason. You can choose to get up and do it, even if no one is watching, even if no one is cheering, even if there's no spotlight. You do it because it's the right thing to do. You do because you are the one who doesn't stop. You do because you are no longer driven by emotion, but by your own commitment. This journey doesn't end after 30 days. It's just beginning. And from now on, you have a new power, no inspiration, but still not stopping. It's a version of you that's stronger than you ever thought possible. And if you ever doubt yourself, look back at the past 30 days, and believe, you can do this and more. If there's one thing you should take away from this 30-day journey, it's this: you don't need inspiration to get started. You just need to start, and inspiration will come, like a slow but steady reward. But ironically, most of us do the opposite. We wait for a spark, an inner explosion, some magical push, and then we never get started. We think we're lazy, that we lack motivation. But the truth is different. Behind every procrastination is not apathy, but fear. Fear of failure. Fear of not being good enough. Fear that we'll try so hard and still not make any difference. And because of fear, we do nothing. But the thing is, you can't overcome fear by sitting there and thinking. You can only overcome it by taking steps. Little by little. You don't need to shout, "I will change." You just do one small thing today. Then repeat it tomorrow. The past 30 days may not have had any big moments. No cinematic scenes. No soaring music. But you did it. You took steps. Without waiting for inspiration. Without needing to want to act. And that unglamorous repetition is what made the biggest difference. Discipline is not a compulsion. Discipline is a gift you give yourself. When you understand, I deserve to live a life with direction. You learned how to do it, not because someone told you to. Not because of a deadline. Not because of what other people thought. But because you knew it was what you needed to do. To become the person you wanted to be. Once you no longer depend on positive emotions to take action, you truly become free, not controlled by fatigue. Don't be imprisoned by the feeling of not being ready. Don't be paralyzed by the expectation of being perfect. You no longer need to say, I will do it. You just need to do it. And the great thing is, you can start over at any time. You don't have to feel ready. You don't have to have a 10-page plan. You just have to do one small thing. Set an alarm. Fold a shirt. Write a note. Get out the door. Then do it again tomorrow. Not fancy. Not flashy. But powerful enough to rebuild your entire life. That's why these 30 days are not a temporary challenge. They are a gateway to a different version of yourself. A version where you no longer look at a goal and say, I'll do it when I feel inspired, but rather stand up and say, I'm starting now. And then you'll realize, you're no longer the person who procrastinated. You are a doer, and action, no matter how small, repeated, is what creates any change you ever dreamed of. If you've made it this far, you're probably somewhere along your own journey of overcoming procrastination. Give yourself a chance. Start today, without waiting for inspiration. And if this video resonates with you, don't hesitate to like it, share it with a friend who needs it too, and subscribe to the channel to join us on our journey of daily inner strength training. You don't have to change the world. Just start changing the way you live today. And I will be here, with you, every step of the way. Click the sign up button, and start your new journey, right now.